Thank you, Sam. William Butler Yeats said, "Education is not the filling of a pail, but the lighting of a fire." Year after year, our valedictorian has spread the fire of knowledge and the spark of inquisitiveness to those around him. He leads by example, exhibiting humble gratitude day after day. There's not been a day when he hasn't walked out of my classroom with, "Thank you, Mrs. Lee," on his lips. He is an astute student and, probably without even knowing it, an apt teacher as well. I've learned just as much from Stephen over the past few years as he has hopefully learned from me. I'm proud to introduce your iSchool High 2013 valedictorian, Stephen Tung.
Good evening, iSchool High, class of 2013. Students, parents, teachers, administration, and faculty. Thank you for joining us on this night and for all of your support. Through all of our hard work and dedication, and due to the encouragement and support from our parents and peers, we have finally made it. We have conquered Mr. Miller's history courses and seemingly impossible tests, completed numerous essays from Ms. Lee and Ms. Bukowski, created many contraptions for Mrs. Ortiz in physics, and even trampled through the forest with Mrs. Fannin to collect insects and salamanders. We have also suffered through state testing, fitness exams, numerous fire drills, and even the infamous beginning of the year projects. Looking back on our high school years, we will remember a number of things. We can recall the extremely long days of tax testing, where we were forced to stay in Mrs. Ortiz's area all day to complete more homework than the usual. We can also recall Mrs. Fannin's shame speeches and our field trips in environmental science to places such as the zoo, where many interesting memories were made. We will also remember the crowded hallways, the numerous case studies we completed, the blood drive in which people were peer pressured to donate, and many other traditions at iSchool. Personally, I will remember the tradition where the valedictorian must give a speech as a reward for all of our hard work. Before writing my speech, I did what any respectable, overachieving, and highly resourceful student would do. I Googled it. I searched how to write a valedictorian speech. Motivational, but not boring speech topics. Why do valedictorians have to write speeches in the first place? What happens when the valedictorian refuses to give his speech? To my dismay, I found no useful information from these searches. However, as a persistent student and with Google as my trusted ally, I continued my research on the World Wide Web. Interestingly, as I was about to look up teens and motivation as a speech topic, the Google autofill feature completed my search for me after I had typed the words teens and. An interesting list appeared. Teens and drugs, teens and alcohol, teens and anxiety. This brings up some interesting questions. How does the world see us teenagers? How low are the expectations that society has of us? Are we inherently disobedient, reckless, and unable to contribute to society? Consider for a moment the idea of a teenager. In our society, a teenager is a person between the stages of childhood and adulthood. A teenager experiences some of the freedoms of an adult, yet is considered with the expectations of a child. As teenagers, what are our normal chores? Make our beds every morning, clean the dishes, clean our rooms, pass all our classes. All of this sounds familiar. Haven't we been doing the same things for the past 10 years? Despite being old enough to drive, vote, and even get a job, we are given the same expectations of a young child. As teenagers, we strive to fulfill the expectations of others, and often can rise to the occasion to meet them. However, since the standards set for us are so low, we are rarely noticed for our ability to succeed. In our everyday life, while we play video games, hang out with friends, and party, we are meeting the expectations of society, but we are not leaving a legacy. However, we have all seen the exceptional teens. Adolescents are some of our greatest inventors and innovators. Youth will create companies, run nonprofit organizations, become superb athletes and musicians, and even become successful millionaires. Even within our school, we have incredible athletes and dancers, students who have performed research at high-ranking institutions, and students who have started nonprofit organizations. While the rest of us normal teenagers suffer from the tumultuous hardships of cleaning our rooms every day, others of us run a company or maintain a nonprofit organization. Most of us would say that these teenagers are different, smarter, wiser, more mature, and more talented. But are they really different? I say no. If we are all the same though, what makes them different than us, the average teenager? After reading the book, Do Hard Things by Alex and Brett Harris, I found it is just that. These teens do hard things. While many high and mighty adults see the dreaded adolescent years as a burden or a difficult transition period between childhood and adulthood, the teenage years, in actuality, are some of the greatest years of our lives. We are young, full of energy, and vibrant. Our excitement is infectious, and our vigor is contagious. Consider an area where we are expected to be great. Technology. Teenagers are some of the most technologically savvy people in the world. Even at iSchool, we have managed to create incredible video presentations, websites, and projects, all the while suffering from the awful bandwidth we have at school. We help the teachers fix network problems, use computer programs, and troubleshoot issues. While adults have trouble figuring out how to change fonts on Microsoft Word, some teenagers are creating computer programs, fixing network problems, and learning multiple computer languages all at once. Is it not ironic that teenagers who have such capabilities are considered with such low standards? Since those around us set such low expectations for us, we often fail to utilize our incredible capacity to add to society. With so much potential, we should be the ones enacting change. With our collective capabilities, we can tackle future challenges and do hard things. As we step out of this church tonight, as high school graduates, how can we break from the low expectations that society has of us? First, go outside of our comfort zone. If we stay in our comfort zone, we are not making a difference. Consider the projects that we've completed at this school already, where many of us undertook responsibilities that were uncomfortable. Calling authoritative figures, making appointments, and presenting in front of experts and teachers. These are not easy tasks. However, they allow us to further our abilities and prepare us to make a difference. Second, go beyond expectations. Staying after class to make an A, volunteering at events even though it's not required. Going the second mile is never required, but can be the most rewarding. Teenagers rarely go beyond expectations, but if we do, we can break this stigma. Third, do things that seem impossible. We should strive to help accomplish huge goals, such as raising money for brain cancer research. As young people, we are passionate about major issues, and we can greatly contribute to these efforts and generate change. Fourth, do things that do not have immediate payoff. We may not see immediate results from working out or finishing our schoolwork. However, these tasks build character, promotes self-discipline, and prepares us for the future. Fifth, do things that challenge the cultural norm. As teenagers, we are seen as disrespectful and self-centered. However, we can break this stigma by being respectful to others and realizing that the world does not revolve around us, but in fact, we are the catalyst of change in this world. In doing this, we are exceeding the expectations of those around us and preparing ourselves for the future. For the adult-centered society around us to acknowledge and realize the great potential we possess, we must rebel against low expectations set by society by performing difficult tasks. Leaving high school, we have been prepared to do great things in our culture. Remember, we are equipped with the best qualities to achieve change. We are the youthful and energetic pioneers of our nation. We should choose to deny low expectations, reject mediocrity, and rise to levels above what is expected. The co-author of Do Hard Things, Alex Harris, sums this idea up perfectly when he wrote, "Unfortunately, we often get praise for things that weren't particularly difficult to achieve. If we focus on the props and encouragement of those who have low expectations for us, we become mediocre." It can be challenging to set our sights on excellence, particularly when we're hearing we're already there. One of life's greatest lessons, which we all must learn, could be expressed in the phrase, that was nothing. Watch this.
Thank you, Stephen.